Teachers of Reddit. What is something you do that your students can never find out about? I've hooked up with some of their moms. I'm teaching in a small town where I also grew up. It happens. Still, I don't talk about it. Hey, Timmy, I ducked your mom. He should use that as a punishment. Every time the student gets something wrong, he adds a detail of when he ducked her. What's 2 plus 2? 3? And then, when I was about to finish, I grabbed her tits and said, "My mom is a teacher. One of her co-workers got hooked on meth, then switched professions and became a prostitute to feed the addiction. I don't know if that counts though. Deleted 0.0388. What is this? It isn't that surprising." My old English teacher would assign mandatory reading times to his English class. A year later I was in calculus, which shared a door with his class. His class was doing mandatory reading, so we pop in to say hi, only to see that he was playing Lego Star Wars on his computer. He turns around and says SHHHH. Japanese alt here. I can only remember the girls' names because the boys all go to same Vulcan hairstylist and I can't tell them apart. The great thing about Vulcan hairstylists is that they're too logical to make idle conversation while doing your hair. Duckin' knew Professor Oak asked it for a reason. Native English teacher in a non-English speaking country here. Teaching elementary age. I begin each class by saying, "Good morning, class," to which they respond, "Good morning, teacher." Sometimes, if I feel the energy level is low, response is mediocre, I will say louder, "Good morning, class." This will usually elicit a "Good morning, teacher." What my students don't know is that sometimes I aim for them to repeat loudly so as to mask a wicked fart I need to let out. Edit. Obligatory. My most upvoted comment is about me ripping butt in front of small children. Has your timing ever been off? Teacher. School that is close to where I live just recently found out that a teacher of theirs participated in a murder in another state a while back. I think she had a name change or something, and that is why it never came up until recently. Edit. Article if anybody wants to read. Edit 2. Here is what a student had to say about it. We had a female English teacher that was a bodybuilder. She became a porn star, no joke. Had a student teacher in high school who disappeared in the middle of her co-op because some shit found her in a CamGeneral ad and posted copies of the ad around the school. She was such a sweet girl and a great teacher, but I don't think she stuck with it after that. Duck. High school is hell. I don't care when they get all pissy and throw tantrums. They are learning and growing, and one day they will understand. Right now they need to yell and do whatever to establish their identity. But no matter what, I won't hate them and will always be there to help them. They can't know about this now because they don't understand why, and they need to make their mistakes. One day though I hope they understand, and what little I may or may not have taught them they will carry on for the rest of their lives. That's not a secret. That just makes you a ducking fantastic teacher. That we do talk about them in the lounge. I knew it. I would prefer they didn't know I cleaned houses for money on weekends, or that a couple weeks after school is out for the semester. Some teachers go through the lost and found box before it goes to charity. Nothing real crazy. Honestly, teachers that I work with are too busy to have too many secrets. And the few nut job educators don't last long. I guess I would never want my students to know that some of their parents are a-holes, and because of their incompetent parenting, life will be harder. Not me, but my Ms. Office teacher was a pretty gruff guy. Always had a raspy throat, coughed, etc. My dad worked at the local newspaper as the head editor, so he knew everything that went on in our tiny Idaho county. Turns out, my teacher had a record of 5 DUIs, some of which were pretty bad. Once, he hit a Stone Country Club sign, lost a wheel, drove 3 miles home, dragging someone's mailbox. A cop followed his antifreeze trail and knocked on the door. My teacher's son answered, told the cop to wait there, and left. but the cop came in anyway. So he was cleared of all charges. The funniest part of the whole story? He was the school's driver's ed teacher. Today I learned high schools now have Ms. Office teachers. You have to take it twice. Actually, once in middle school and once in high school. It basically consists of entering numbers into Excel for 8 weeks straight. Then correcting shitty PowerPoint and Word documents. Source: I'm 16. Probably late, but my second grade teacher told me, when I started high school, that she would make Sims out of her students. Her least favorite students would be isolated in a room without doors and just left to die, while her favorite students would live. I left teaching a few years ago, but I would never have wanted my third graders to know I did most of my grading at the local pub and shared the most ridiculous assignments with the regulars. Did you ever run into any of their parents? Did you ever spill beer on a kid's assignment? I'm not a teacher, but as a student, about 20 years ago, we did discover that one of my grade school gym coaches was on American Gladiators when some of us saw the episode One Snow Day. We worshipped her after that. It was Blaze, wasn't it? I had her as a sub about 3 months before I graduated. It couldn't have been Blaze. She was my high school PE teacher. And where I went to school it didn't snow. My mom works at an elementary school and directs their before and after program. Apparently the big secret is that half of elementary school teachers are skull-splitting morons. Her favorite story is of the teacher who made an entire presentation about Napoleon ice cream and how it's 3 flavors because Napoleon himself could never choose. Followed with a lesson entirely consisting of made up bullshit about Napoleon. I guess she never read that it's actually Neapolitan ice cream. There are many similar stories. This is the highest rated school district in the state. 2. I evaluate teachers professionally. I've seen some amusing things. Like a teacher selecting Samurai of Ancient China as the best essay from her class. Good lord. That is sad. Some of the most common things my mom witnesses are emails and handwritten notes with major spelling and grammatical errors. Words corrected on spelling tests to the wrong spelling. And silly misinformation related to history and science. Kind of like Samurai in China. She walks in on completely out of control classrooms on a weekly basis to a teacher sitting at their desk like nothing is going on. When my stepdad was going through cancer treatment, my mother, who is an elementary teacher, got hash oil from another teacher in her school to help with the pain. Physics professor by day, professional belly dancer by night. Their brains would explode. Using a number 1 pencil. They'd all be crushed if they found out it wasn't a number 2 pencil. Those exist? Indeed they do. The numbers indicates the hardness of the pencil core. Made of a mixture of graphite and clay. The higher the number, the harder the lead. I let my students off the hook. All the time. I have no interest in busting a kid for swearing, etc. As long as they weren't being disrespectful to me in the first place. Far too many teachers are just there to create obedient little automatons, much like they are themselves. Now, keep in mind if I see a kid doing something dongish, even if it's small, I'll go out of my way to set them straight. I'm there to create genuine, empathetic and independent individuals, and I think this means the ability to make some mistakes along the way. I write down the stuff kids say. BC, it's often hilarious and I'd like to write a book on it one day. The other day, for instance, I'm in a grade 1 class and the student says to me, "You look exactly like the guy that sleeps with my mom." Kinda relevant story. I was having a really rough semester dealing with depression, a full-time job, and a boatload of units at a community college since I couldn't afford tuition at my university. Not unique problems by any means, I know. And went to my middle-aged Calc II professor to try and work something out about my rapidly dropping grade. I told him times were rough and how sorry I was that I had to pick up shifts in lieu of attending his class so that I could make rent. He looked at me and said he understood. Then started tearing up and saying he had to pick up a part-time job at Applebee's to make his own ends meet. and how embarrassed he was that he's had to wait on a few of his students during the semester. He talked about how when students would recognize him they would tease him about it during their meal, asking why he couldn't get an engineering job or something since he was such a math whiz. As I was leaving he told me to please not tell anyone. Broke my heart to see him cry and made me reevaluate my own problems. Or, poor guy. I don't know why people are so mean sometimes. It's a sad state of the world where a guy who is educating people has to take a side job to stay afloat. My freshman history teacher from high school got nailed on the 50-yard line back when she was a student at the same high school. This was confirmed by another teacher after I graduated. Teacher here. I'm 35 years old male. And I still play with Legos. In my storage closet at school. I have all the new Hobbit Legos. Thug life. I was a teacher in Korea and was concerned students would find my stand-up comedy online. It's not exactly appropriate. Edit. For those asking for a link. I replied I think to all of them but let's put one here too. This one is about Korea anyway fanidi.com link. But it probably happened. Had a middle school science teacher who threw pencils and had girls pick them up. Moved blossoming girls to the front row. And later got busted for having porn on his computer. Edit. His name was Dr. Tori. The amount of "did you go to my school is this my teacher" comments on this is amazing. I was actually going to ask that too. Seems like it's a big problem. Friend of mine is a DJ for all the main clubs in the area. I'm sure most of his students are too wasted to even realize he is playing the music they drink to. Where's the guy with the penis bombers and vagina monsters tattooed on his arm? Edit found the link. www.reddit.com /AskReddit comments /14bhgq tattooed redditors. Have you ever gotten one that C7BLD4D penis bombers dropping bombs on vagina monsters? I was just thinking this. Also it was on his leg. My mom teaches middle school math. It's not her fault but she is absolutely horrible at math. She is a special education teacher and never wanted to teach math. Unfortunately the math department was short a teacher so she picked up a class. Fortunately they put a large group of the special education kids in the class. I think she would be in trouble if they knew that I have had to help her with the math on multiple occasions. But on the plus side, since she doesn't immediately understand it she can see where her students would mess up. She can sympathize why they don't understand things a lot better than most people. Edit. A lot of people misunderstood me. My mother is not stupid. And I would prefer if people would stop commenting that she is. She is not good at math. But she is a great teacher. I come from a family of teachers. We are very good at getting people to understand things. My life goal is to eventually become a college professor. Having a teacher who was not good at math in school is better for a class of students who aren't good at math. If the teacher now understands the math he can better explain it to the students than a teacher who is naturally good at math. But this kind of teacher is horrible for kids who are naturally good at math. The teacher won't understand how the kids make leaps or shortcuts and will be annoyed at them for not showing work. A teacher not immediately understanding a subject does not mean they are a bad teacher. But a teacher for students who don't immediately understand things. I'm good at math and suck at teaching it because I can use all of these shortcuts that make sense to me. But not everyone else, so I can see why your mom's a good teacher. Oh god. Yes. My husband is a math-minded person. But our daughter is not. She's in pre-algebra this year. And he keeps trying to get her to use all kinds of shortcuts. I could have kissed her teacher when at conferences he very kindly told my husband that our daughter needs to learn all the steps and why we use them before she learns the shortcuts. Since October there haven't been any more tears over math homework. Best comment of the day. As a college professor I swear that the farther to the ends of the age range the student is, the more their head is up their own asterisk. Mid-20s to mid-30s are pretty good, but anyone over 40 or just out of high school is dumb as a box of rocks. I've gotten more nude/near nude pics submitted as legit work from students over 40 than from anyone else. In fact all of them came from students over 40. One student was trying to show off how hot his GF was. She wasn't, and it was creepy as hell. No, I don't want to see your kids' baby pictures either. The ones just out of high school wouldn't put their phones away, even if it was literally on fire. And 12 years of public education has them convinced that they need to ask my permission for everything. You're an adult. If you need to take a piss, just get up, go, wash your DA**in hands please/thanks, and come back. I'll only assume you're leaving if you take all your stuff with you. And parents, please don't give your kid or kids some unusual name, no matter how clever you think it is. Yeah, I'll remember it, but only because I pity your kid for having such an ************ parent.